Hi there, it's Carl Irwin, the Common Magician, and I don't know where this will go, but we'll have a bit of a discussion here today on money magic. I've done some money magic effects on the channel before and talked about some ideas, particularly related to the bill switch. We've talked about the Jon Lovett book, Switch. I'm going to reference that a little bit later here. But I want to talk just about money magic in general. This would be magic using currency that is not coin magic. Coin magic is kind of its own sort of category of close-up magic, sleight of hand magic, usually sleight of hand. There's also gimmicked coins that are involved in that as well, and we've talked about some of that. But money magic usually refers to paper currency as some part of the presentation. Maybe it's all about the paper, or it is some part plays a significant role in the presentation. And I was thinking about this because I have coming up here this summer, there's going to be a big family get-together at my wife's side of the family up in New England, and there's going to be a lot of people around, and I envision I'm going to be compelled to do a lot more magic than I normally would do in a setting among family and friends. I kind of limit myself to, kind of one trick in a setting at a time. And that's about it. I don't usually go on and do several things, but it's going to be so many people and so much time spent, and it's not over one day. It's going to be over several days, part of a good week there, where I'll have opportunities, and not merely opportunities, but people are going to ask for things, and I need to be kind of ready for that. Now, the issue here is that with this group of people is that card magic really doesn't fly. They don't play cards. They don't use cards. It would be awkward for me to just ring in a deck of cards to do something. And it's kind of refreshing, I got to be honest with you, because I'm not really that big of a card magician. Almost everything I do on this channel is related to cards, and the things that I've published almost all relate to cards. But I'm not much of a card magician, and I really spent most of my time, particularly in my teenage years up into college until I kind of stopped doing magic for a while, doing things that were not card related at all. And I did various sort of borrowed item effects, and I sort of repeated the same 10 tricks or so, and I kind of had a repertoire that I stuck with. Which is not far off from a lot of professionals, to be honest with you. A lot of professionals, they just kind of do a handful of things that they do extremely well. That's their show. That's their routine. A lot of people hang on to that for a long time. So that was my experience. And I've talked about some of those effects on here before. I think I need to kind of return back to that a little bit, at least for the summer, because it just doesn't make sense to do the card magic in this setting. So I've been reevaluating some of the effects that I do, and there's a sense in which I need to have repertoire that is going to draw upon common items that are readily available, things that I can borrow or I can take right off of my person. I'm not a big fan of prop magic, where you bring in some kind of specially made box, or for some reason, for no reason whatsoever, I have a box of matches on me. I mean, that kind of stuff. But rather taking things out of your pocket, like a coin, or a set of keys, or a wallet, or something in a wallet, or credit card, or something like that, or a pen, or a pencil, or picking up something that's sitting on a table, like silverware. Those kinds of motivations, those sorts of pieces that help to motivate a trick. I've been reevaluating my magic and trying to look for fresh ideas that I maybe knew about but haven't explored very much before, haven't used very much. So that got me into money magic, because money is something, paper money is something you can borrow. It's something that we carry. It's something extremely common. It also has a sense of worth to it, and that raises attention, given the nature of the effect. I mean, if you make money disappear, if you make money appear, that has consequences, right? That has implications to it. If you destroy money, or if you transpose money, you turn a piece of money into something else. If you destroy it, restore it, that kind of stuff. A lot of interest in that sort of thing. So I was looking closer at money. Now, we're going to talk about some resources for money, but I wanted to talk about a few effects that I've been playing around with that you're going to be very familiar with. You're going to recognize some of these things as marketed effects, but I want to point out that what I'm going to show you, they exist far beyond the most recent marketing that you're aware of. In some of the marketed areas, you'll see these things. They say that these effects are sourced to so many people, and there's so many versions and variations of these effects. I feel quite comfortable sharing, at least in general, the principles here. And I'm also sharing with you insights that I have based on what I've learned from other people and books and videos and whatever, kind of borrowing applications for other areas and then using them for these particular effects to make them more suitable to me. Make them better for me and in my situation. And maybe we'll look at more money effects on some other videos as well. So I'll just start with this one here. I've got a couple bills. So just a couple $1 bills here. And very, very simple effect. You've probably seen this before. I've had this, and I've never done it for people. I'm a $100 bill change kind of guy. I find that hard to beat. The problem for me is that the folks I'm going to be around, they've seen that already. And I've already done it. I can't do that again. And I really can't do an effect like that for them because it's just that you can see that it's the same effect dressed up differently, right? So this is a similar kind of effect, but it's a very different sort of outcome to it, right? So this is two $1 bills, and you can find that if you fold them in a certain way, they kind of bunch up and compress together, and you can create sort of a new sort of currency out of this. It's just a little bit more compact and easier to carry around. You can see that's two $1 bills into a $2 bill. So two $1 bills into a $2 bill. So that is my presentation. You probably know this from the what's his name? Nublazato, I think is his name, effect $2 window. That's the marketed effect that is most current. He's not the creator, though. This is the idea of 2 1s and a 2 predates him quite a bit. A couple of people have had their hands on it. I know I've seen a Michael Amar version of this as well that predates him by quite some time. This is my presentation of it. Now, a few things that you have issues with a $2 window or this kind of effect that I never liked about it. One is that you can't hand the thing out. You can't hand the thing out. So you do the effect, and even if you go in reverse, right, you can't really hand it out. It doesn't matter what the presentation is, you're stuck with some gimmickry that you have to account for. So now there are presentational ideas that allow you to sort of, show everything apparently fairly, but you just can't really have it examined. You got to move on. So one idea with this is to just move on. Get the bills put away, or take one bill and use it for something else and get the other one put away. But I actually had another idea that I had not seen used for this particular effect. I actually got it from Rod Chow in an entry that he had in John Lovick's book, Switched. If you don't have the book Switch, Unfolding the $100 Bill Change, I highly recommend you pony up and pay for that. It doesn't matter how much it costs if it's out there. I think it might be out there for around $40 right now, which is a pretty good buy. It was much higher when it first came out. Great book. And it talks about the $100 bill change, but it talks about a lot of other stuff. There's a million ideas related to that effect, and not merely just the thumb tip variation of that effect, but various other effects. And there's also an appendix in there with other ideas and variations on the theme, billet switches, a lot of other things in there too, that don't really come across as a bill change particularly. There's other effects that can be done with the utility of the bill switch, the bill change. And I got an idea from one of Rod Chow's entry there. and I'll show you what it is. So again, the idea is that you have two $1 bills, and you obviously know what's going on here, but you fold them up into a packet, and then they transform into the $2 bill. And this is what I never liked about the most current version of this, and even I know Amar's version and other ones I've seen before, is that you couldn't really do this. I wanted to be able to do this, because if you can't hand it out, I want to make sure that it looks like it doesn't need to be handed out, right? So if you can't hand it out, I wanted to have very open exposure so that there wouldn't be much interest in taking a close look. And using this Rod Chow idea accomplishes that. So let me show you what it is. You have a $2 bill, and obviously you have two ones that are being held out behind the bill. The normal way of doing this is to have one of those bills affixed to a corner of the two, so that you would have to show it like this and then turn it back again. My application here of the Rod Chow idea, this is called the full show gimmick. You can read about in the Switch book, and it's just a small little part of that book. So this is kind of a review as well for those of you who don't have it. The gimmick allows you to swivel out the packet so that you can show the full back of the bill. It's very simple. All it is pieces of packing tape. You put a piece of, just a little square of packing tape on one side, and then on the other side, and then you take some Scotch tape, and it needs to be the satin finish Scotch tape. It's sometimes marketed as invisible tape because it doesn't have a glare on it. And then you cover the packing tape on both sides so that you don't get that glare. Use the packing tape so that it will last. That's the idea. And you cover that up. So then what you have is you have a door. You have a sort of swivel that allows you to do this maneuver. As you pass the bill to the other hand, you can then put the packet into the hand and hold the two at fingertip position. And this just looks open. It looks like you're completely free and open. You do this, and then when you take it back, you're free and clear to show, you know, a very, very open situation. So what this allows me to do is it allows me to do the trick such that I think I can ditch the gimmick in such a way that doesn't look standoffish, right? Because obviously you can't hand this out for inspection. You do need to move on. You need to have something that's going to come after that. You need to have motivation to get rid of the bills and move on to something else, because people are going to want to see them otherwise. I figured if I could show this in such a way that there's no point in the presentation at which someone thinks there's something being held out, then I'm as good as free and clear as I can be. And then I can just ditch the thing, and the desire to see the bills is much, much lower. So that was my feeling about this. Likewise, you could move into another phase at the end of this where you're using multiple ones. So I need to retrieve more ones out of my wallet. What that would do is allow me to ditch the one that has the 2 on it, and then I could take out additional ones as if I'm keeping that one. So that was what I had in mind. And that took me to this next little illusion here. And I haven't worked out a perfect handling for this that I'm quite satisfied with yet. But this is a little gem I picked up from, it was a lecture. I think I saw this particular idea in a Gregory Wilson lecture. But the idea, the concept that drives it, predates him quite a bit. I'll get into that in a minute. So the idea here is that you take out a couple more ones, and really what I'm doing is I'm ditching my one gimmick in my wallet for other $1 bills. So you've got these bills. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 bills here. And what we're going to do is just very simple. It's just kind of a fun little sort of puzzle party trick. I'm going to take one, and I'm going to turn it the other way. And then we're going to take another one, and turn it the other way. So the situation I've got right now is that I've got one facing up, one facing down, one facing up, and one facing down. I don't know if you can see that very clearly. So you have one up, one down, one up, one down, sort of a triumph kind of a situation here, and you can kind of see where this is going to go. So what I'm going to do is very simple. I'm just going to take the whole packet and flip it, and I'm going to rotate it. And with the flip and the rotate, those gymnastics, there's something amazing happens. You can see all of the ones are now facing the same way. You see how that works? All the ones are facing the same way. So again, I've just got, you know, 1, 2, 3, and then 4 bills. Just regular bills. And same thing, we'll just do it again. Turn one face up, one face down, one face up, one face down. You can see the situation here. Right? Weirdest thing. But the maneuver again is a flip and then a rotate. And somehow everything goes back to normal. It's just completely remarkable. Not really sure what to make of it. But anyway, that was an idea I had sort of as a second phase. That's fun, and it's just so open and clean. It just uses $1 bills, something that everybody has. I could move rapidly and quickly through that. And I thought, I've never done this for people before. I'm still working on a particular kind of pacing and presentation for it. I'm just showing the idea to you here now for you to consider and think about. So this is based on a very, very old principle that we use a lot in cards, but actually has applied to magic. And there's many, many gimmicks that you can make that accomplish a wide variety of things. So you can make double face and double back dollar bills that have different denominations and currency. Parts of it are different, and you can use it in many, many different ways. But all this is you have a couple of double backers, right? So you have 2 double back ones. There's a double back one there and a double back one there, and then 2 regular ones. Okay, so 2 regular ones, then 2 double backs. And it's very cheap. You know, it's a cheap little thing you can design here, and you don't feel like you're compelled to spend anything. The 2 things you can't spend anyway. Just put these together, find bills that are kind of in like condition. They're not brand new, but they look used. And just set this aside as a packet trick that you can keep in your wallet. And the presentation is pretty straightforward. You can do the sort of the frustration kind of count, right? Where you show 1 and then you drop. If you have a table, you can put it on the table. If not, you just put it in your hand. You show 2. And what I'm doing is I'm just showing the same face for all of these. 3 and then 4. And you don't really need to worry about flashing too much because it's not known. I mean, there's digits all over. And in the shadow, you can't really see which side of the bill is which, right? So you can be pretty loose and open, I found, as I've been doing this in a mirror and on video. You just show 1 and then count off. And what I've done is I've reversed the order. So now on the top, I have a regular bill. I turn that one over end for end. I find, too, that you want to keep them oriented the same way, top to bottom. So flip them end for end. And then I take the next bill off with it, which is a double backer, and put it underneath. And then I flip the next bill end for end. And then I can spread out and show the situation up, down, up, down. I close it up, and I like to do this rather than just turn it over. I turn it over, and then I add in this rotate idea. And it just kind of confuses the brain a little bit and makes them think that maybe there really is some kind of a trick to this that's writing the bills. Because if I just turn it over, I think it's a little too perfect. It kind of gives away what's going on here a little too much. So I flip and then rotate. The rotate is just to kind of throw off the scent a little bit. And then you can spread and show that they are in the right order again. And of course, I repeated this. I think it's okay to repeat it once. It's probably okay to do that. And I'm actually set right back up again, right where I left off. So I can show I've got 1, 2, 3, and then 4, right? And then go on from there and repeat the trick. So that's a sort of dollar bill triumph that you can do just with a couple of ones. If you want to, you could add one more one and make this a larger stack with the, put your gimmick bills sandwiched in between among 5 total bills, right? That can be interesting as well. I find that it works well enough just with 4. And then the next place that I go to here that I'm thinking about in terms of routining is to go into a transposition. So again, this is going to look familiar. There is a marketed version of this out there, and I'll talk about sources again in a minute. But what I can do is deposit my 1s and keep one regular one and take out a 5 and then move on here to another trick. So you need to have 2 bills for this. I've got a 1 and then I've got also a $5 bill. So just a couple of 2 different denominations of bill. And what we're going to do is very, very simple. I'm just going to fold up the 5 like this. And I'm going to place it in the hand here in a moment. I'll just set that down just for the second. And we're going to fold up the 1. Doesn't really matter how you fold it. We'll fold it up like that, and we'll place it here with the 5. And this goes into the hand just like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, of course you could do this in the spectator's hand as well. This is something you can do there. I'm going to take one of the bills out. See here which one I've got. Can't remember what order. So I got the 1 here. And what I want you to do is I want you to watch what happens. I'm going to take the bill and I'm going to rub it on the back of my hand. So if I rub it like this, you'll see what happens. It actually turns into the 5. This is the 5, and if you look inside the hand, I now have the 1. You can see that indeed everything is as it appears. So you have the $5 bill right here, and you have the 1 right here. Right, so very, very good magical effect that can happen right inside of a spectator's hand. I know, again, Jay has it out as a 5-in-1 transpo, sells it as an individual effect. But this is a type of transposition, that's been around long before that. Another one is, again, I'll go to Michael Amar has one that does this too, with a very different setup. And then this is another setup entirely. This is actually using a John Lovick idea, again from Switch. So related to a different presentation that he does, but this is kind of my variation of it. I did not like, with the more popular versions of this trick, the need to cover, again, whole parts of a bill, right? One version required that on the back of one of the bills, on the 5, let's say the 5, you would have a piece, an index of the 1, pasted on this quarter right here. And you could never show that quarter. You had to always avoid it. I wanted to be able to turn the bills completely around and show them every corner, everywhere, the entire bill, both bills, so that the desire to look at the bills would be extinguished. I wanted to be able to just stick things back in my pocket and back in my wallet without there being any desire to really evaluate any of it. And what I did is I looked at one of John Lovick's ideas in his book, where he talks about an index and taking the index from one bill and putting it on another, but doing it in such an open way that it can be looked directly at and not noticed with very minimal coverage. What he does is he takes the index off of a 1 and he cuts around the frilly parts, kind of the leaves that are hanging out here on the 1, and he cuts this section out, just that index. And then what he does, and his is on I think it's on an older 5, so it's not the newer 5, but he just pastes that index over the front index on the 5. And just by covering it with just a finger, it blends right in with the bill. You don't notice that it's there. But when it's folded up in that quarter, if that quarter is the only one shown, it looks like a completely different denomination. So I took this idea and just applied it to the back. It really doesn't matter where the index is applied, it can be applied really to the front or the back, and it would accomplish the same goal. So here's what I did. I took a 1, and then I took an eraser, just a pencil eraser, and I erased at a 1 until I really lightened up the black ink on this kind of frilly large index. So I just wanted to get it more of a gray tone. It's a black color. In the backs of bills, and even on the 5, it's sort of more of a green. Now this is actually a prop 5 because I didn't want to feel compelled to spend it. I didn't want to keep $5 always held out in a trick. So this is a prop 5, but it still is, it's true to color. So it's kind of a greenish sort of color in the back. I needed to get a lighter sort of gray on this to blend it in. So I lightened it up. Then I took some scissors and I cut out the index. And I actually cut off some of the leaves. I cut it a little bit shorter, and I'll show you what I did here. So that's what I cut out, and then I just pasted it. It doesn't even make sense. It's actually facing the wrong way. You can see the orientation is wrong. I didn't need to worry about whether or not it was facing the right way. I just needed it in a blank sort of area. And if you look on the 5, there's a lot of blank open space. If this is folded, in spite of the fact that there's some tones kind of running in here that relate to the back of the 5, if this is folded up, and if I have my finger on it like this looks like the front of a 1. This looks like the front of a $1 bill. Close enough, right? That I can get away with it. So it blends in well with that sort of greenish off-green color, olive gray. And it's good enough that I can take this out and show it and demonstrate that it's the 1. And then the switch obviously is just a reversal when you go to rub, and then you can see the other index. Then whenever I open this, I can show this extremely fairly. I just need to put my finger over that number and, you know, don't let it sit here forever. But I just need to cover with one finger on that index, and you can really see a lot of the other frilly border on there. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't really stand out. There's a lot of other real estate on this bill. I can show this. So the nuance here is that whenever I fold the 5, I'm folding with the back out. But when I fold the 1, I'm folding with the face out, like this. So I have this index showing, and then on the 5 I have this index showing when the two bills are mated together and then placed in the hand. So it goes in the hand like this, face down, the hand turns over. I now have access to the 5 with the gimmick, and it's perfectly positioned for me to put my finger in, take it out, and I'm now covering that index, the edge of that index perfectly to show it openly. This is the 1. This is the front of the 1 as far as anybody is concerned. There's no way that it's the back of a 5, it's the front of a 1. And then I can turn it and do the rub, and then there we are, open it up, cover up that index, 1 finger coverage, and I can show this very open, both sides, and I can get rid of it. There's nothing really to examine here. There's no desire for anybody to look at anything because everything is wide open and there's nothing else there. Anyway, that was my adjustment on that transposition. I just thought I could make a better index cover than what has been put out there. And Lovick's idea fit the bill perfectly, no pun intended. So anyway, some money magic ideas there, just a few things that I've gotten from my endeavors the past few days as I'm looking into this. Resources for money magic. I can think of really one great resource to start with, and it probably might be the only place you really need to go because it gives you a lot of the big ideas. And from there you can kind of branch off and use those ideas in many other ways. And that is the World's Greatest Magic video collection on money magic. So it's an older video. You can get it DVD, but you can also download it. I know Penguin has it downloadable, and it's like less than 15 bucks. Whereas if you go with some of these other money videos, they show only a few of the effects that you're going to find on the World's Greatest Magic video series. only 3 or 4 effects for twice as much money. It just makes no sense to me, right? Whereas when you go with the World's Greatest Magic route, that video series, that particular one on Money Magic, you get a dozen ideas there. And most of the things that you will see on that video series can be tweaked and changed and turned into very different effects. There are 2 different effects that I can think of off the top of my head that are really just the $100 bill change, but they're totally different effects in the end. Different applications than just the $100 bill change. And because of that, they actually teach you the $100 bill change without even adding that as one of the tricks. You actually look at the thumb tip handling, they teach you that, so you can just do the regular switch if you want to, without that taking up any time on the video, that particular effect. So anyway, that's my recommendation. From there, I would definitely buy the Switch book by Jon Lovick. There's just so much information in there related to Money Magic, not merely just the $100 bill change, $100 bill switch, but various other ideas that use paper currency in various denominations and foreign types, billets, pieces of paper, notes, just all kinds of ideas in there that can really supercharge your impromptu looking money magic, paper magic, even some mentalism as well with the billet switch stuff. So World's Greatest Magic video series and Jon Lovick's book, that's where I would go if you're looking to get into this. But anyway, lots of other money magic ideas. Maybe we'll look at more of this into the future. I'll also be looking at some coin stuff, some other ideas related to my conundrum of using borrowed and ordinary props for magic that I'll inevitably be doing this summer. So good luck with that, and happy magicking.